America's 52 Stories, with life lessons for personal growth.
At 6'5", he stood out as a lawyer, a newspaperman, and a soldier. He earned the affection of his men for his irreverence for military regulations that stood in the way of taking care of his fellow soldiers. As a result, he was arrested not once, but twice. A powder keg of fear was about to explode. A gap was opening that threatened the entire Union front. Colonel Colvill and some 260 other men from Minnesota were the only troops between the oncoming rebels from Alabama and the formidable Union batteries that were not far away. The commander of the Union left, Winfield Scott Hancock, observed that additional troops would be required to head off the rebels, but time was too short. He quickly decided that all he needed was 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes to reinforce his line. Desperately looking for troops, he found Colvill and yelled,
"My God, are these all the men we have here? Advance, Colonel, and take those colors."
Instantly, Colvill assumed that he was being ordered to sacrifice his own life and those of his entire unit for the sake of one general's 5-minute gain. As if requesting their consent, Colvill shouted,
"Will you go along? Forward, double quick!"
How does a human being determine he is going to lead other human beings into a situation where it is assumed that no one will come out alive? How is that decision justified when it is reached so quickly and with total agreement from those who are asked? After being ordered to charge toward an opponent who outnumbered him by at least 3-1, Colvill quickly calculated what action was necessary. The speed of that decision was likely based on a contrast of moral choices that allowed the ideal to triumph in the most desperate moment, such as union above secession, equality above slavery, the future above the immediate, and a nation above himself. The time Hancock needed to close the line was gained at tremendous cost, but he gained more than double his money. He got 10 minutes instead of 5. The gap was closed and the Union line reinforced. Colvill's Minnesota regiment sustained one of the highest losses in a single battle. Roughly 80% became casualties in a matter of minutes, all for the trading of Union lives for the clock. To measure the audacity of the charge, the Confederate commander testified that his men were withdrawn to prevent their entire destruction. Hancock was equally awed.
No soldiers on any field, in this or any other century, ever displayed grander heroism.
The sacrifice of Colvill and his men, decided upon instantly, aided in securing the fate of a nation in 15 horrifying minutes. Sacrifice rewards you. Colvill illustrates why sacrifice is so vital to our daily lives, that in giving up something, you gain something. You can give up watching a movie tonight in order to complete a needed report for delivery tomorrow. You can give up a party with friends tonight in order to meet with one of your children's teachers. Repetitive sacrifice creates a habit that influences positive results. Progress on important and difficult issues rarely occurs without some level of sacrifice. To get something in return, determine what you are willing to give up. The more effort you make, the more results you get. Or, the harder you are on yourself, the easier things become. Think of sacrifice in terms of benefits. Colvill's behavior demonstrated that sacrifice of self is the noblest way to influence. Patriotism can motivate. In spite of his willingness to bypass military rules, Colvill had a strong sense of patriotism. Instead of having a romantic sentiment for his country, patriotism for Colvill was a moral absolute. In effect, he repudiated the brand of patriotism that is defined as the last refuge of the scoundrel, a sometimes evangelistic manipulation of emotions used by leaders to hide or justify their evil intentions. His patriotism was developed over a lifetime of devotion to the principles he was called to save. From them, he was able to draw strength to handle the deadly responsibility that awaited him on a moment's notice. Colvill's value of patriotism allowed him to stand up to life's most stressful moment, the stark possibility of instant death. There can be no doubt that his patriotism was shared by both his own men and those who fought for the South. In an elemental sense, Colvill, like so many men on the battlefield that day, may have seen himself as a humble guardian of a country that is one of laws and not of men, and that its protection truly required his life to be disposable. Devotion to this country's ideals, patriotism, can influence the kind of action that will continue to protect those ideals. Your sacrifice makes a difference. You live and work in small societies, family, neighbors, and co-workers. What you sacrifice for the good of others can influence others to do the same. It could be suggested that William Colvill made only a tiny contribution not worth mentioning in the larger story of the country's history. To the contrary, like Colvill, you are a thread in your country's fabric, and you strengthen that fabric by your dedication to achievement. Without it, our country is weaker, and with it, our country is stronger, which is why it is impossible for you to be insignificant. Right now, every student has the right to be thinking, what do I do with this information? Let's start by asking these questions, and you can provide your own answer.